If you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis or you're worried about your bone health, I get it. I used to be frail and I was terrified of falling. I thought weak bones were just a part of aging until my research team and I found proven ways you can reverse osteoporosis starting today. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the science of bone health, the truth about DEXA scans, and what you need to do for healthy bones, the top myths about osteoporosis, and how to make informed decisions about bone health with your doctor. By the end, you'll know exactly what to do step by step to prevent and reverse osteoporosis, so you can live an independent, active life with the people you love. I'll be covering shocking information that's not being shared anywhere else. So the first thing you need to know about osteoporosis is the science of your bones and how they actually work. Your bones are constantly changing. I used to think bones were fixed and stable, but it turns out they're constantly being broken down and rebuilt, kind of like our skin. There's two key players you need to know about: osteoclasts and osteoblasts. Osteoclasts are cells that break down bone. Think about jackhammering up cement. Osteoblasts are the cells that build bone. Think bricklayers. Both cells are really important for bone health, and they work together. You need osteoclasts to get rid of old bone that's not healthy anymore, just like dead skin cells. And of course, you need osteoblasts to build back strong bones. So our bones are always changing, and this is great news. It means you can change your bone health starting right now. So the secret to bone health is simple. You just need your osteoclast and your osteoblast balanced and healthy. I'm going to explain how soon, but first you need to know the truth about DEXA scans. Your doctor probably told you to get a DEXA scan, and if you haven't already, it's a low-dose x-ray that measures your bone mineral density. That's a measurement of the calcium and other minerals in your bone. The official diagnosis of osteoporosis is when your T-score is at or below negative 2.5 on your DEXA scan results. Your T-score is basically how much bone mineral density you've lost since the age of 30. So the idea is, if you have high bone mineral density, then you have stronger bones and are less likely to get fractures. The key word here is fractures, because the truth about osteoporosis is having osteoporosis doesn't really matter, except that it increases your risk of fractures. So fractures are the real issue here. Bone mineral density is just an estimate of fracture risk. The big problem no one is talking about is that bone mineral density is not an accurate predictor of fracture risk. For example, there are countries with lower bone mineral density than the US, but they also have less fractures. Also, being overweight increases your bone mineral density because there's more demand on your bones. Being 50 pounds overweight is like carrying a 50-pound weighted vest. Your bones will respond by becoming more dense to accommodate the weight load. But countries with high rates of obesity also have more fractures. This is another example of how high bone density does not protect you against fractures. And get this, in a study of 9,000 women 65 and older, only 15% of low trauma fractures were due to osteoporosis. Low trauma just means falling from no more than a standing height. So you didn't just fall out a window from a tall building. The vast majority of fractures, 85%, have nothing to do with bone mineral density. Another study showed less than 1 in 3 hip fractures can be attributed to DEXA-diagnosed osteoporosis. So if you're worried about falling and breaking your hip, like I used to be, then you should stop worrying about your DEXA scan. So if osteoporosis is not the main cause of fractures, what is? This might seem obvious, but the main cause of fractures is falling. Let me say again, fractures are not caused by osteoporosis. The main cause of fractures is falling. The name of the game is fall prevention. And the main cause of falling is a loss of balance, stability, and strength as we age. This is also why women have more fractures than men, because women fall more often. And it's not because we have lower bone mineral density. It makes sense when you think about it. There's a lot that goes into falling. The furniture in your house, your coordination, your eyesight, whether you've been drinking, the weather, etc. Bone mineral density is just one small piece of the puzzle, and that's been over-commercialized and pushed on women for decades. But wait, didn't I just say I would tell you about how to reverse osteoporosis? Don't worry, we're still going to get to that. Because what's good for fall prevention is also good for your bone density. So as long as you're focusing on fall prevention, you're going to reverse your osteoporosis too. And this is 100% in your control. Whether you fall or not is a result of your lifestyle and not your genetics. Falling is not your destiny. So, if there's all this research against the use of DEXA scans, then why are DEXA scans still recommended by organizations like the World Health Organization to measure your bone mineral density? Well, I didn't know that the World Health Organization's osteoporosis screening guidelines were funded by 3 drug companies. You can see why DEXA scans are so popular, since older women naturally have lower bone mineral density due to hormonal changes. Companies that sell drugs like Fosamax use DEXA scans to turn unhealthy women into paying customers. So here's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what your DEXA scan says. Maybe you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, or don't even know. The point is, everyone should do the same thing to build and maintain healthy bones and prevent falls. You need to focus on 3 things: resistance training, vitamin D, and nutrition. Starting with resistance training. Of all the things you can do to prevent falls and build strong bones, resistance training is by far the most important. Our bones respond to the load we put on them. For example, a study on college athletes across a range of sports found their dominant arm always had the higher bone density score than the other arm. Overwhelmingly, a sedentary lifestyle is the main cause of osteoporosis. Our bones are just like our muscles. If you don't use it, you lose it. You know how astronauts lose their bone density while they're floating around in space? Well, the same thing happens to us when we sit all day long and never put any load on our bones. But the thing most women don't know is you need to do osteogenic exercises to build strong bones. Osteogenic literally means bone producing. Our bones respond to resistance in the same way trees grow strong roots in the wind. The more wind, the stronger the roots. Resistance basically means weight, but can also mean things like resistance bands. What shocked me is that swimming, running, cycling, Pilates, and yoga are not osteogenic. Yeah, one of my clients was actually taking a low-impact workout class for healthy bones. I've done this too. In one study, competitive female cyclists lost bone density over a 12-month period. So even if you're super fit and work out all the time, you can still have weak bones if you're not doing resistance training. Like even if you're training for a triathlon, because swimming, biking, and running are not osteogenic. So the best exercise to build strong bones and prevent falls is lifting weights. There's a ton of variety with this. You could just do bands or just do body weight, especially when you're starting out. Another great way to build strong bones is walking with a weighted vest, and it doesn't need to be very heavy. Start with 6 pounds. So do your regular walk with a weighted vest. It's like working out without working out. And for balance and fall prevention, the current evidence supports doing some balance training like yoga and Tai Chi. So yeah, my hack is to do balance training that also counts as resistance training, like walking lunges with dumbbells and step ups. And there are a lot of exercises like this you can do with dumbbells. Go ahead, hit your Pilates or your yoga class, but not until you've done your resistance training first. That's an order. Another reason resistance training is great for fall prevention is because it builds up your muscles. Age-related muscle loss, called sarcopenia, is a huge contributor to fracture risk, much more than osteoporosis. Think about it. When you trip over something and stumble and catch yourself, you need to be strong to do that. If you have weak muscles, you might not catch yourself, and a little trip can mean a big trip to the hospital. Lifting weights is by far the most effective way to preserve your muscle with age. I've gained over 8 pounds of muscle as a woman over 50, and many studies of women in their 70s and 80s have proven it's never too late to get strong. I used to think that lifting weights would make me hulky, but that's not true. By lifting weights, you can end up getting the toned physique you always wanted, and it's so incredibly important for your longevity. I also do exercises for my lower back that help me with my balance too. I take the stairs whenever I can, so I can preserve my ability to go up and down the stairs. Yeah, I've fallen down the stairs before, more than once, and I never want to do that again. One year-long trial had especially good results. 145 women in their 70s who did a combination of resistance training and step aerobics had 74% less fractures over the next 5 years compared to the control group. They worked out 3 times a week for only 30 minutes and still got this amazing benefit in weights if you have severe osteoporosis. Now let's move on to our next step for building healthy bones, which is vitamin D. Vitamin D is really important for bone health because it helps your gut absorb the calcium in your food. You might remember from my supplements I don't take video that taking calcium supplements is a hard no. You must get it from food. Severe vitamin D deficiency actually causes osteomalacia, which is softening of the bones. Muscle weakness is also a symptom of vitamin D deficiency, which can contribute falling. Thankfully, vitamin D supplements have been shown to improve muscle strength and balance. Mega doses, though, are actually harmful and increase fall risk by about 30%. So it's best to take a vitamin D supplement every day rather than once a year. The ideal blood level of vitamin D for bone health and longevity is above 20 nanograms per milliliter. I walk in the sun every day and I still was deficient in vitamin D until I started taking a supplement. The one I take has been vetted by my research team for purity and potency. I take 2,000 units of this brand every day. That's what I recommend in general, but if you're deficient, you might want to take 5,000 units for a few months to get back to normal levels. Test your blood to find out below. So far, we've covered exercise and vitamin D, and now it's time for nutrition. The first thing you probably think about bone health and nutrition is calcium. Calcium is super important, but there are other nutrients you need to be consuming to build strong bones. You need nutrients like vitamin C, folate, vitamin B6, copper, magnesium, zinc, potassium, protein, and vitamin K. It sounds like a lot, but if you're eating a diet including whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and beans, it's a cakewalk. The one food group you should especially focus on for bone health is green vegetables because they're rich in both calcium and vitamin K1, which your body turns into vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 steers calcium into your bones while taking calcium out of places it's not supposed to be, like your arteries. Think calcified plaque. You should aim for at least 90 micrograms of vitamin K every day, which you can easily get from greens, except spinach and Swiss chard. Those are both high in oxalates, which makes their calcium hard to absorb. Parsley, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts are especially good sources of both calcium and vitamin K. Pick one you like. Vitamin C is great for your bones too. It can lower your risk of hip fractures by 5% for every 50 milligrams of vitamin C you eat a day. That's the same as one orange. But as long as you're eating fruits and vegetables, you'll get more than enough. Before I talk about what to avoid for bone health, I just want to mention the importance of making your home fall-proof so you don't trip over anything. Next, there's saturated fat. A study of over 2,000 women aged 18 to 79 found a strong link between saturated fat intake and muscle loss. When I say strong link, it's like there's a strong link between smoking and lung cancer. It's serious. Compared to eating 8% of their calories from saturated fat, women who ate 16% had 10 years of muscle loss. Saturated fat makes you lose so much muscle, it's like you're aging yourself an extra 10 years. This is why saturated fat consumption is also strongly linked to getting hip fractures. Next, there's sugary soda and salt, which both increase calcium loss through urine, which can affect your bone health. But the worst beverage for your bones and falling is alcohol. Yeah, Jill Cabernet was very sad to hear this. A meta-analysis showed alcohol contributes to increased hip fracture. It's a double whammy because alcohol is bad for your bones, but it also makes you tippy-canoe. Another medication you might be taking is acid blockers for acid reflux or GERD. They're also called proton pump inhibitors or PPIs with brand names like Prilosec and Prevacid. Acid blockers are really bad for your bones because they reduce your stomach acid, which blocks calcium absorption. Based on studies covering 2 million people, these medications increase hip fracture rates at any dose. Acid blockers have other serious side effects, and my team is working on a video about that. In a nutshell, if you want to get off acid blockers, you need to lose weight, stop smoking, eat more fiber, avoid fatty meals, and try not to eat within 2 hours of lying down. Too much thyroid hormone can also cause bone loss. If you're taking thyroid medication, you should talk to your doctor to see if you can take a lower dose. Corticosteroids like prednisone can also hurt your bones at high doses. Okay, so now you know exactly what to do and what not to do for healthy bones. But